Welcome to this series of lectures on continuous time Fourier transform. My name is Mudassar Naikwadi. I am assistant professor at NB Navle Singhangad College of Engineering, Department of Electrical Engineering. In this lecture, we will talk about continuous time Fourier transform. Continuous time Fourier transform is used for getting the frequency domain content of continuous time aperiodic signals. Earlier we have noted that when the signal is continuous time periodic, we use a transform called as Fourier series. But when the signal is aperiodic in nature, that is the signal does not repeat itself, then we have to go for another transform that is called as the Fourier transform. So basically Fourier transform is used for aperiodic signals and Fourier series is used for periodic signals. Now in order for Fourier transform to exist, the signals must satisfy what we call it as the Dirichlet conditions. Now these Dirichlet conditions we have discussed earlier when we talked about the introduction to transforms. So Dirichlet conditions are important conditions which signals should satisfy. So this shows the limitations of Fourier transform. That is, if the signal does not satisfy Dirichlet conditions, it is not Fourier transformable. Hence, there is a need for another transform other than Fourier transform. That's why we go for Laplace transforms and Z transforms according to whether the signal is continuous time or discrete time. If the signal is continuous time, we go for Laplace transform. If the signal is discrete time, we go for Z transform. Now, amongst the Dirichlet condition, an important condition for Fourier transform to exist is what we call it as that the signal should be absolutely integrable. That is, if we try to compute the integration of the signal from minus infinity to infinity, then its value should be less than infinity. So this is one of the condition of Dirichlet which we have discussed earlier. Now let us see the equation of Fourier transform. There are different notations used for indicating continuous time Fourier transform. The first notation is x of f. So f indicates the frequency domain representation. So it is integration from minus infinity to infinity x of t. So this is the signal whose Fourier transform we are taking. And this is the basis function, that is e raised to minus j omega t dt. Now this x of f is also denoted by x of omega or x of j omega. So these are the different notations which are used to indicate the Fourier transform. Now if we want to go from the frequency domain representation to time domain representation, then we have what we call it as an inverse Fourier transform. So if we know x of f, that is the Fourier transform, and if you want to determine the time domain signal, then we go for the inverse Fourier transform equation. So this same equation we can write it as in terms of x of omega like this, and we know that omega is equal to 2 pi f. So this here we are getting the term 1 upon 2 pi. So this is the equation for Fourier transform and inverse Fourier transform. Same equations have been listed over here. This is x of f equation, this is x of t equation. In terms of x of j omega, if you want to write the same equation, we can write it as x of j omega, and this is your x of t. Okay, so these are the same equations which are used for representing continuous time Fourier transform, and we show this by a dual, that is, this is the time domain and this is the frequency domain representation. So we can write x of t Fourier transform x of f or x of j omega, and x of j omega is nothing but f tending to omega upon 2 pi. So this is the relation between f and omega. They are related by this equation. So this is the introduction to the equations for Fourier transform. Now let us see what are the important properties of this continuous time Fourier transform. Remember, whenever we are talking about continuous time Fourier transform or discrete time Fourier transform or discrete Fourier transform, normally they are referred to as Fourier transforms. Okay, so we have to understand which type of signal we are analyzing. If we are analyzing continuous time signals, then the Fourier transform is continuous time Fourier transform. When we are analyzing discrete time signals, the Fourier transform is discrete time Fourier transform. And we have seen that from discrete time Fourier transform we get discrete Fourier transform. To compute discrete Fourier transform we have fast Fourier transforms and so on. So fundamentally whenever we are writing it as only Fourier transform, you should understand that this we are dealing with for continuous signal. So this signal is x of t, so it means that this is a continuous time signal, and my Fourier transform is what we call it as the continuous time Fourier transform. So CTFT is the notation which is for continuous time signals Fourier transform. Now first property is called as the linearity property. So in linearity property, if we take the linear combination of the time domain signals where a1 and a2 are constants, then we get the linear combination of the transforms. That is, this is the superposition principle. That is, the linear weighted sum of the inputs produces linear weighted sum of the outputs. So when we are taking the linear weighted sum of the input signals, their transforms also will have the linear weighted sum output. Now this can be verified by an example. Let us solve one example. Suppose we have one signal which is an exponential signal, and we have another signal which is a exponential. One is a growing exponential, another is a decaying exponential. But here remember, this time, this duration, or how this t varies with respect to 0, that is very important. We can plot these signals. If you want to plot this signal, this is our growing exponential and this is our decaying exponential. Now let us compute the Fourier transforms of these two equations. The first Fourier transform, substitute x1 of t in the equation. Now this equation, if you see, if this equation, this signal, if you plot, this varies from minus infinity to 0. Okay, so my integration will be from minus infinity to 0, because we can see here it exists for t less than 0 and it is 0 for t greater than 0. So my range of integration will be from minus infinity to 0, because the signal exists for t less than 0 and it is 0 for t greater than 0. So above 0, that is 0 to infinity, the value of the signal is 0. So my integration limit will be minus infinity to 0. Similarly, if you see this, that will come to later. Now if we solve this integration, now we can club these two exponentials. We know the formula, e raised to a into e raised to b is equal to e raised to a plus b. So we are getting here this thing. Now integration of e raised to ax is e raised to ax upon a. So this is the integration of this. Now when you substitute the limits 0 and minus infinity, you will get this answer. So we have got the Fourier transform of the first signal as 1 upon 1 minus 1 upon a minus j omega. Similarly, we can compute the Fourier transform of second signal. In the second signal, if you see, it exists for t greater than 0 and for t less than 0 it is 0. So my limit of integration will be from 0 to infinity, because it is existing for positive values of 0. Now similarly, whatever we have done in the first case, again following the same thing, and we get this answer. Now when you combine, when you take the Fourier transform of x1 of t plus x2 of t, when you add these two Fourier transforms, this is what you get the final Fourier transform. Now this is what we have done. We have found out the individual Fourier transforms and added them together in order to get this. Now in order to prove this by linearity property, what we can do is, we can take the Fourier transform of addition of these two signals directly. So this is our first signal and this is our second signal. Now if we take the combined Fourier transform of this signal as a whole, then let us see what we get the answer. So similarly, when proceeding in the same fashion, we see that ultimately we are getting the same result which we had got in the earlier case. So this verifies the linearity property, which states that the linear combination of the inputs will produce the linear combination of the outputs. So here inputs are our time domain signals and outputs are our frequency domain signals, that is the Fourier transform. So in this way we can verify the Fourier transform linearity property. Thank you.